This is the Military Bottom Line Podcast, episode 60.
We had submerged, we were underwater, and then I noticed that I was hearing something in my ear that sounded like water. So then that's when the mental, game kind of started. Like, no, that can't be water. No,
first time being submerged.
Yeah, first time being submerged, and I hear water coming in.
What's going on, guys? Thanks so much for tuning in this week. I've got a special guest, Tamario Spivey. Tamario's got an awesome perspective from the enlisted side, enlisting in the Navy at 20 years old and being kind of a electrician, munitions tech guy that works on the submarines. And so he gives a good insight. And we talk a little bit about what it's like to balance side hustles, whether it be real estate or clothing brands, and balancing those between shore duty and sea duty. And so that constant back and forth, he learned a lot from his first venture and kind of realized what worked and what didn't. And that inspired him and basically made him kind of change his route in order to pursue something a little bit more passive. But he does not take the traditional real estate investing route. And so it's a whole new route that I had no idea about, that now I've got some kind of insight, and you'll get some insight on this too. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Welcome to the Military Bottom Line Podcast, where we learn from veterans and those currently serving how to make the most out of a military contract. We're here to motivate, inspire, and help you leverage your service to positively impact you professionally, personally, and financially during your military career and beyond. What's going on, Tamario? How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good today. How about yourself?
Dude, I can't complain. I'm excited to hear your story. We've connected a little bit. We had to reschedule, Father's Day obligations and celebrations got in the way a little bit. But I'm excited that we're able to finally connect.
I am too. Yeah, this is it's been a little while coming here. I know early on I was kind of back and forth from here and sea and things, but it's worked out. So we're here now, and I get to share some information to the listeners. So.
That's the beauty of dealing with active duty military members. You never know where they're gonna end up for a couple of days. So.
Right, yeah.
We're patient and we make it happen. So thanks for coming on today, man.
Yeah, and thank you for having me on here. I'm excited about this. So.
Awesome. I appreciate it. I'd love to kind of start from the beginning a little bit, hear a little bit about your upbringing and what made you join the Navy in the first place.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I'm originally from Tennessee. So for all the Titans fans out there, tighten up. Yeah, but I'm originally from Tennessee, and I've always wanted to serve in the military. I had some family members that served in the different branches, so it wasn't just the Army. I'm actually the first one to be on subs, though, so I did get a lot of questioning looks, when people found out what I was going to go do. Yeah. So I decided that I wanted to pursue the military. First, I was looking at the Marine Corps. I had actually talked to the Marine Corps, but then I actually ran into a Navy recruiter who was a quartermaster, and he definitely had an impact on me. And he really talked to me, and I would consider like my very first mentor before I had even actually joined. So he talked to me a lot, helped me out. I had to lose a lot of weight to actually even come into the military. He definitely helped me out with that and pushed me in the right direction to make that happen. And so I ended up in the Navy, and I actually was going undesignated seaman first.
Open contract, essentially.
Right. Yeah. So didn't know what I was going to do. Just kind of show up to the ship and, hey, we want you to do this. I didn't have a set job.
Well, I'm curious, like for the Marine Corps, it's like the assumption is you're going to end up as infantry if you go open contract. What do people joining the Navy assume they're going to become when they go undesignated?
So from what I was told, because now so on submarines we don't deal with that.
Hmm.
That's the surface side of things.
Mm.
I was told at the time, basically ship paint. I mean, yeah, just whatever random jobs they wanted me to do, or go
Okay.
support a random division, and then kind of on my own time learn what other jobs were doing, and then decide, hey, I want to go do that and pursue that.
Interesting.
Uh,
Okay. Okay.
but
So so then you went undesignated, and how long? Like, I mean, they chose subs for you.
No, so actually, we were. It was about a 30-minute drive from MEPS to my hometown,
Mm.
and on the way there, after I had chosen undesignated, my recruiter had a phone call. They basically was like, "Hey, we got this job for him. If he wants to do this, it's open. It's on subs." And so he like I said, he was on the surface quartermaster. He tells me, he's like, "Hey, I got a phone call. They're saying they have this job open for you. You want to do subs?" And I was like, I don't know. I've never seen a submarine before, so I'm not sure about that. And then also at the same time, I've seen the movies and I've
Hmm.
heard about the worst case scenarios, and I'm not sure if I want to end up on the bottom of the ocean. And so we talked about it for a few more minutes, and then I just made the decision. I just told him, I was like, you know what? I'll take it. Let's do it.
Wow.
So I ended up going back a couple of days later and actually talking more in detail at MEPS about what I was getting ready to do. And so then that's when they told me, "Hey, you're going to deal with submarine electronics."
Mm.
And I went from there to actually going to sub school, where sub school is where I actually got put in the specific electronics field,
Mm.
which ended up being fire control technician, which is what I do now. I've been doing it now for 11 years now.
Fire control as in ammunitions, or fire control like actual like fire on board?
No, no, no. So dealing with ammunition, so
Okay.
dealing with ordnance, dealing with torpedoes.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. So
Gotcha. So how old were you when you joined and you like chose like, yeah, let's go for subs. Let's try it out.
yeah, I was 20. I was 20 years old when
Okay.
I made that decision. And like I said, I had never seen a submarine before. I had heard of them. I knew they existed. I never
Hmm.
seen one, never toured one. It wasn't until I got to school in Groton, Connecticut,
Mm.
and I actually got picked up from the airport, me and some of the other guys, and the duty driver's driving us around base, and he points, towards the lower base where the subs are, and he's like, "So yeah, there's the subs over there on that side of the base," and then I'm mouth wide open looking, oh, that's the submarine, So that's what I signed up for. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Wow. What was that like? I mean, when you first saw it, like, man, like I have to live on that thing. Like, did you have any regrets? Were there any moments where you like regretted that decision?
It wasn't regret. It was more so just like shock, I guess say,
Mm.
just awe that there was so much stuff on this vessel.
Mm.
From the outside looking in, you just see this black floating, submarine, and then you get on there and it's like, wow, so it's a lot of things compacted and smashed inside of a submarine. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's an engineering feat for sure.
it is. There's things everywhere, and then you have racks over here for people to sleep, and you got spaces for people to eat, stand
Yeah.
watch, and
Crazy.
all right here. So
Crazy. Crazy. Before we get too much into the sub life, I'm curious. I'm always curious, like for people that join, whether it be 2 years later or 5 years later, what did you do between high school and joining at 20 years old?
So during that time frame, I was working in retail,
Okay.
doing that. I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
I guess you say when I grow up.
Yeah.
I graduated high school, and I wasn't for sure on the exact college at the time that I wanted to go to. And at the same time, I was kind of unsure if that was a path I wanted to pursue.
Hmm.
But I definitely knew that the military was something that I wanted to do, and I could gain a lot of it from the experience and the technical knowledge from it. And
Nice.
my idea was, hey, I go in the military, I'll do my initial contract, and then if I decide to stay in, I'll retire, and I feel like that would be good for myself, or I make the decision where I'm gonna just separate, take my training and work in a different sector somewhere else.
Yeah.
So to me, I felt like either road that I took, it would be positive for myself.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that there's, you know, in hindsight for me, I went like right out of high school. And so I lacked the like, the quote unquote real world experience before the military. And so like I didn't really have much to compare the military to. And so I think that when you've seen like what working in the real world looks like, it kind of it helps you make a more informed decision on whether to stay in or not, when the time
Yeah,
comes.
I
So
agree. I
I,
agree. Yeah.
I think there's some serious value to like maybe taking a year or two to try that out. So awesome. So then you went to sub school in Groton, Connecticut. How long is that pipeline for? I mean, how long you hanging out there and through? I mean, how many schools? Like A, B, C? I know
Yeah.
some of them can
So
get pretty long.
right, you initially have to go through your through submarine school
Hmm.
or just sub school. Or when you go there, you go to basic enlisted submarine school. That's about a month long. You go through basically your introduction to the sub life. They teach you about some of the basics of the submarine, what you're getting ready to do, some of your expected qualifications and things you're expected to do. And they also help you out with your admin side of things. If you have anything left over, to make sure that you physically, medically qualify. And then also you'll get split up into your specific jobs if you weren't assigned one before you arrived there. So that's where I got split up into mine to become a fire control technician. So
Gotcha.
from there, I knew, okay, so when I graduate BEST, I'll be headed to my pipeline. The rest of my pipeline will be to support being an FT.
Okay.
From there, I had to go through two more schools based on computers and electronics. After those two small schools, I went to my A school, which by going to my A school is where I learned my job. And that was the longer one. And altogether, I spent around 10 months in Connecticut. And
Okay.
then before I knew it, reporting to my first boat,
Which was where?
which was in Bangor, Washington, where I'm at now.
Oh, right on. Okay. West
I'm here
Coast.
for my second tour
Cool.
in the Great Pac Northwest, where it rains a lot, but it doesn't rain all the time. So we actually got good weather right now. So
Right on. Did you have a preference as to where you would end up?
actually, I wanted to try to get in the southeast. Go to Georgia. There was a sub base there, but unfortunately, the way it worked out was Bangor, Washington for me. Which coming out here, I've really adjusted and I love it out here. And I'm glad I actually came out here. I've never actually been to Washington before this or to the West Coast, but actually coming out here has allowed me to see a lot of the outdoor stuff here because I'm a big outdoors person personally. I like to go do the hiking and all the other stuff, and I've also got to experience some of the other Western states over here as well.
Yeah, awesome. Right on. I'm curious. I heard that. I mean, when you're talking about going through the pipeline, that like they evaluate people to make sure that they're like going to do okay on a submarine.
Mm-hmm.
Do they evaluate during that pipeline, or like at what point do they make sure you're not going to freak out on a sub?
Early on, they'll talk to you, and that's more so. So even in boot camp, when I was in boot camp, I had to go for medical stuff. You'll have certain jobs or fields that you're going into where they had more appointments than others, and that was just to make sure that medically you were going to be ready for submarine duty.
Gotcha.
Make sure that there's only one person there that's medically trained that can help you out. So you got to think about when we go out there, if you have a lot of medical issues and things, it doesn't help out with the mission. And then this one person he only has so much he or she only has so much medical training. So therefore you're relying on them to take care of you and complete the mission. So they generally want people with, less health issues. That way it's less on the one person and on the mission too. So you can go and really just accomplish the mission, because you can't just, turn around or necessarily surface and get some help immediately. So
that's interesting, because I just kind of assumed it was more like a psychological evaluation than it was just to make sure like you didn't have like too many health needs, because I assumed like, if you join the military, they already make sure that you're like pretty healthy, and don't really have too many needs. So I was curious if it was more of a psychological evaluation or a physical evaluation.
Not so much sight. It's kind of if you feel up to the challenge or not, and then of course once you get going in the job and you get there, how do you feel now that you're here?
Gotcha.
And then they'll go from there as far as what you think you're evaluating you actually being there.
Gotcha.
There is some small spaces. There are spaces where there isn't much room, and then you'd be surprised when you get on there. There are some spaces that have a lot more room than you would think it is. So it's not all small claustrophobic spaces, and I can't move around. So
yeah. So give us an idea of like, I don't know what your job entails, and then I mean, like, I don't know anything about Navy life. So you got like shore duty and ship duty, and like, so kind of give us an idea of what your career has looked like, and like how much time you're at sea versus how much time you're actually on land, and what you do with your job.
Yeah, so you have a sea and shore rotation, which is going to differ based on what your rating is. So for my job that I do now as a fire control technician is somewhere around, you do about 4 years at sea and 3 years on shore. Generally, you'll be on a boat, so you can be on a submarine. You can also be on a submarine tender, and then you'll transition to shore duty.
What's a submarine tender?
So submarine tender is actually a ship, but they have a lot of maintenance focused personnel on there, people experienced in maintenance. So they help out with the submarine when it comes to maintenance or weapons or any kind of needs that they need met. The ship has that ready to go to help support the boat.
So the ship kind of floats around in the ocean by itself, and then if the sub needs some extra mechanical help, then they'll just surface, meet up, and then fix the problems?
Yeah, import. They'll take care of them in port, and then they'll go around to different ports, and boat will pull in the port and take care of them in a port.
Gotcha. Yeah. Cool.
But there for the fast attack community, works with the tenders. The community now I'm a part of with the SSBNs, we don't deal with the tenders. We just go out and complete our mission and come back home afterwards. We keep our interactions to a minimum with others. So
gotcha. Okay. So what's the time split between shore duty and ship duty? I mean, how long have you been in at this point? It's like
11 years. 11 years. And like I'm saying, for my job, because it's specific based on your rating. For my job, you do 4 years at sea, 3 years on shore, and then you'll rotate back and forth between them. And of course, you'll have things that come up where maybe the command needs you a little bit longer, so you'll extend and stay a little bit longer. Or manning is really, really good, so they'll allow you to leave a little early, or another command needs you early to fill a billet or spot somewhere else. So, but generally it's usually around the 48 months, 36 months window, and you just keep going back and forth. And then it also adjusts based on rank too, as you go up.
Okay. So then within that, 48 months on sea duty, quote unquote. But even then, like, you're going in and out of port. It's not like you're just out at sea for 48 months.
No.
What is that breakdown as far as like, how many weekends a month do you actually get to go out in town and hang out with your friends versus you're stuck on a boat?
Right. Yeah. So not all 48 months will be spent underwater. When you're in port, so like I was saying, I'm part of the ballistic submarine community. And what we do is it's a two crew system. So two crews for one boat, which allows the boat to stay at sea for the entire year. So we just alternate where you'll do somewhere around 3 months at sea. You'll come back, rotate with the other crew, and then they'll go out for 3 months, come back, and we'll just keep that rotation going while the other crew is out at sea. Fulfilling the mission. The other crew will be conducting training, getting ready to go back out when the other crew comes back.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so you get your off time once you're in what we call the off crew. You'll get your off time in, which allow you to take your leave, go home, visit family, take care of personal stuff, and then also get ready to go back out. Like I was saying, we still continuously train even when we are not out at sea.
Yeah. It's not like you're on vacation when you're not at sea.
Yeah, right.
Not the whole time, at least,
Still training.
So. So we spoke a little bit before we started recording that you kind of working on some side hustles here and there, and like trying to balance that with the reality of going back and forth between sea duty and shore duty. Is it clearly you've done it to a degree, but is it possible to have like an ambition to do personal things when you're constantly going back and forth between, being at sea and being on land?
Yes, it is. It can be very challenging on sea duty because you're separated from the internet and people and everything else, right? So you're out at sea, very limited communication. So it makes it hard to conduct businesses once you're out at sea. Not impossible. If someone is going down that path, I highly recommend having a good partnership, a good team, or someone to basically fulfill your duties and your spot while you're gone. And then when you come back, it could just be a plug and play and just continue working and, just progressing in the business. If not, if it's just a solo, just, kind of maybe you and just a buddy doing a business, based on what the business type is you'll probably get the most time on shore duty to really dedicate to running your business while also maintaining your military career at the same time.
Yeah.
So for me personally, because I just started a second one, which is focusing on real estate. That one allows me to be a lot more passive than the clothing that I had done in the past, where some businesses require a lot more hands-on. I need to be there 24/7. Vice other things where you can just kind of let it run on its own, or like I was saying, get key people in positions that can help run things while you're gone.
Yeah. So your first business was a clothing business, and that's what you started. I mean, how long had you been in the Navy when you started that business?
I've been in about 7 years when I started that. Yeah.
And you were just thinking I want to try to start a business. I mean, what was your thought process when you started down that road?
Yeah, I was doing a lot of powerlifting, doing some competitions at the time. So for me, I wanted to create something very motivating to those in the powerlifting community, and then also those in the military as well, to really push and motivate them, from a fitness standpoint, because it was on based on activewear. So I wanted people to not only conquer the obstacles and things in the gym, but also in their life too. So combining the train of thought both on the military side of things to the gym side of things, or powerlifting and my personal life.
So, Gotcha. Okay, cool. I like that. And so you started that while you were on shore duty, I assume? Like you had more time, you're like, let me try this out?
Yes, I did while I was on shore duty. Shore duty is, for us, the way we look at it is generally when you get the rest, you get a little rest because, you've been away from your family, you've been separated, you've been, deployed a lot. In shore duty, you're here working, you'll still stand duty. But as far as getting deployed, unless it's something you volunteer for or an emergency or something, you generally don't get deployed during that time frame. So it gives you a lot more time to go and pursue things such as college or any kind of higher education, small businesses, or just take time away and just go be with your family.
Nice. Okay. And so you started this clothing brand kind of as a solo enterprise, just kind of doing it by yourself and trying it out. Like, did you have any experience in this, or you just kind of figured it out as you went?
No, so I actually had some help from a gym that I was working out of back in Virginia. And they were really helpful on giving me tips and things to do, just kind of guiding me through the process. And then, yeah, you're right. It was a solo thing. And I was just taking my thoughts and putting my thoughts to paper and turning it into designs and putting it on shirts and putting it on a different clothing and going from there.
No kidding. And it was like making sales, and it was like making, it was worth the time that you were putting in.
Yeah, I was. Like I was saying earlier, it takes a lot of time. It's very active, very active. Yeah. I was in Virginia, but there was times on weekends where I was in North Carolina. I was in North Carolina a lot at different gyms, different facilities down there, just promoting and doing different marketing. And even there was a couple of times where I was doing meets in Virginia, and I was actually competing and trying to run clothing at the same time. So, in between my lifts and things and my turn to go on a platform, I was trying to run over, sell some stuff and then go back over and do my lift. So it's very, very active. It takes a lot of time. And that is definitely not something passive that you just, you create a website, put some clothing on and just hope it sells itself. It is, it's not like that. You have to get on the ground.
Yeah. It's not like, what is it? Field of Dreams. Like if you build it, they will come kind of thing. It's
no.
Everybody's got a t-shirt to sell,
Yeah. Right. Yes. Yeah. So it takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication and
So at what point did you decide, all right, like, great lessons learned, spent a lot of time and energy on this thing, but it's taking way more work than I want to kind of keep it going. So at what point did you decide to fold that up and work on something different?
Yeah, when I got back to the sub life, when I got back to my second boat, when I got here, got back in the swing of things and, the normal everyday, okay, this is, our normal work days and things like that. And, just really thinking about it overall is, am I finding this beneficial to myself and then my family? Because now it's not just myself now, I got others to think about. So between the timeshare between all of it, I just felt like it was best that I focus on what was going on at home, family, and then focusing on my career too at the same time with me going back. Because at the time when I first started it, I was kind of unsure as to whether I was going to continue in the military too, or just take the small business and this is what I'm going to do from here on. But when I was able to finally make that for sure decision on what I was going to do, it really helped to say, okay, the small business, I'm just going to stop this and I'm going to focus on other things for now.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there comes a time where it's like, I don't know where in that lineup you started the family, but it's like, you got the military that's taking a bunch from you. You got the side business that you're trying to grind on. And there comes a time where it's like, all right, where do I got to give back? And like, once you get married and have a family, it's, that's definitely a big time commitment for sure.
Right. So now I've been able to, like you say, take those lessons learned, and now I'm in things that I feel like recently created another small business that I feel like are a lot better. They fit overall what I would like to get out of my life right now. When I still the entrepreneurship, still progressing in that side of things. Also from the military standpoint, it's not interfering with that or my me going out to sea isn't interfering with the small business side of things right now. Because that was one challenge I did have, especially with the small bit. The first one was, hey, I still have military commitments that I have to meet and
Yeah.
things. So in my mind, it's like, oh, here's a perfect opportunity to go do this if I could go here. But then I also had to think about, I have to do this,
Yeah.
or I have to stand this, or work these amount of hours, so I can't do that. But doing what I do now is a good balance overall.
So you said you switched over to real estate?
Yes, real
So,
estate, and I've found a new thing that I really love. So
right on. That's awesome.
like, yeah, a lot of benefits.
So what's your everybody goes at real estate in different angle, I guess. So what's your angle on real estate? Are you like wholesaling, renting, flipping? I mean, I don't like, what's your angle on real estate? What are you involved in?
Yeah. So okay. So the first thing that I got started in was being a landlord, going that route, going buy and hold, just holding the houses. So going that route, and then recently I got started in mortgage notes. And when I say recently, that's within the last couple of weeks, and got the LLC and everything, got that small business going now to where I can now get involved in mortgage notes now. So
Like
along with,
you're buying mortgages? I mean, what does that mean?
yeah. So buying other people's debt. So by buying their debt, you now become the bank. And by doing that, instead of paying, for instance, Navy Federal your mortgage, you'll now pay this investor your monthly principal and interest. It goes to them, and they still have all of the same actions and courses of action that a bank has when it comes to foreclosure and eviction if necessary and things like that.
Huh.
Yeah.
So
So
you're buying somebody else's mortgage. Does that mean you have to have that, 100 grand, 200 grand, whatever
what?
the mortgage
Right,
is?
right, right. Whatever. So generally, the way it goes is you'll have a bigger investor or like a hedge fund manager that has all of these notes. And what they'll do is they'll have some that they don't want anymore. So then they'll say, okay, I'm selling these notes. Here's what's available. And so then that's when other investors will go through and decide, okay, which one do I want? Which one do I feel like fits my portfolio or my goals the best? And so then you'll select that one and you'll make an offer on it, and the seller will decide if they want to accept your offer or not, and then they'll sell it to you, and then you'll go through your legal process, and you'll officially become the holder of that note and the bank for that mortgage now.
Interesting. So when you say make, I know nothing about this, so like forgive my
Mhm. No,
my
no,
ignorant
no.
questions.
Ask away. Ask
I'm
away.
just trying to understand. So basically, somebody takes out a mortgage for like 350K over 30 years. So like the property is worth 350 in theory.
Mhm.
Um, but at the end of the 30 years, that note is worth like say 600, right? So like when you say make an offer, you're making an offer somewhere in between the 350 and 600.
Yeah, so a lot of what it is you'll have a lot. So there's two main categories. There's performing notes and there's non-performing. So performing notes are the ones where you have to pay pretty close to the full amount. Like, and if someone owes 350, then the seller will take they're going to want that 350
Mm.
or maybe a little less. If it's non-performing, where non-performing means that they're behind, they could be. I've seen things where people are
Oh,
maybe a payment behind to they could be months behind when it comes to paying. So that non-performing, when you buy that one, you have to understand that, okay, this person isn't paying. So you have options to decide, how do I go about this? Do I do a loan modification to get them to start paying again? Or do I start the legal process based on the state's laws to
kick
take
them
the
out.
house away, like a foreclosure, going through that process or not? But a lot of
Interesting.
times the goal is to get them to pay again. You want to help the homeowner out
Yeah.
and get them paying again, let them and allow them to stay in the house and turn it into a performing note again.
Interesting. Okay, so basically, if it's a non-performing note, like they're gonna foreclose, and you could initiate that foreclosure, and like you basically have first rights to the home after, like, you own that house at that point.
That is correct, based on the state. But some states you can't do that, and it has to go through an auction process. So you have to follow whatever state the
Gotcha.
house is in. You have to follow their laws when it comes to non-payments and checking with the attorneys and the city to
Gotcha.
find out specifically what you can do based on this person non-performing. So can I foreclose and take it, or does it have to go through an auction process
Mm. So
and
there,
then go?
in some states, there is an obligation, a legal obligation to put it up for auction.
Right. Yeah.
I
That is
assume that's
correct.
just so like a bunch of rich people don't just go in and buy non-performing notes and like foreclose them out, and then all of a sudden they own a bunch of houses.
A bunch of houses, right? Yeah,
Gotcha,
yeah. So,
gotcha.
but that's definitely last case, the worst case
Yeah,
scenario. You won't ever want to do that.
yeah.
You like I was saying, the first thing is a loan modification. That's what you want to do, is work with the homeowner and find out how do we get you paying again,
Mm,
and get you back in a performing status. And that way, there's even an option where you get them performing again, that you could turn around and sell that note to another investor, because you now have a performing
mm.
note. You can advertise it to them as really good passive income that you don't have to do anything, that this person pays continuously.
Interesting. This makes me think of that movie, 99 Homes. Have you seen that?
I have not. I have to
Ah,
go watch
man,
it
it's a great
now.
movie. Great movie. If it's like kind of based on 2008 2009 recession, housing crisis. It's yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I would recommend it.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm curious because like if you're buying these notes, and I mean, granted they're not all at today's rates, but
Hmm.
for these notes that are at today's rates, when we're talking like 2, 3, maybe 4% kind of thing, is does that mean that that is your ROI, whatever their interest rate is?
Yeah, so with these, they can be sometimes even higher than that. But yeah, you're right. When you do the math on that interest plus the principal and things, yeah, that's your ROI. But generally, from what I've been seeing, you'll see things higher than that. So I think 7 to 8% is like the average for investing in the stock market.
Hmm.
This is pretty close to that too. So it's definitely another avenue to invest if you maybe don't want to deal with the stock market. Or the way it got put to me was, if you want to get in real estate but you don't want to deal with the toilets, the tenants and termites,
Yeah.
this is how you get involved in real estate without having to deal with the other headaches of being a landlord.
Interesting. Interesting.
Okay.
I'm just like trying to figure it out because I've got one rental unit and like it's been great for us. And then other than that, it's like stock market stuff. So I'm just
Mm,
thinking like if it's between buying a note or investing in the market, and they're pretty comparable ROIs in theory, like what is your motive for going this route, buying notes? It's
right.
just more
So
fun and you're learning a ton.
yeah, yeah. So like I was saying, it's definitely a good thing that helps out with my family and stuff. Because when I'm going out to sea, my
Mm,
wife is doing everything. All of the
mm,
real estate stuff is on her. So this does put a little less on her when I'm gone by doing something a lot. It does require a little bit of work,
mm.
but it's definitely a lot more passive than being a landlord, which I'm sure you understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, being a landlord, sometimes you have to deal with some late night calls and some tenant issues and things like that. Not all the time, but sometimes you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with the note stuff, it's a lot more passive,
It's
and I
monthly
also get,
check still.
yes, yeah, still a monthly
Mm,
check, and then I also get the opportunity to meet other investors and just other people involved in real estate that still do everything from wholesaling to flipping, buying and holding, apartment syndications. I mean, they do it all. So they're not just, I do mortgage notes only. So.
interesting. Interesting. Okay. So for me or for somebody else who wanted to like find out more, like what's the first step to getting involved with buying mortgage notes?
So first thing I would say, just like anything else, is definitely educate yourself. understand, because like I'm saying, there's two main categories
Sure.
with performing notes and non-performing notes. So just to make sure you understand the difference between those two. There's a lot of information on YouTube, a lot of great experienced people, investors with videos on there that explain it in detail. But once you understand what you're getting yourself into, the houses, the different, like I'm saying, performing, non-performing, and the prices can range all the way from maybe someone owes about $20,000 on their house to, like you're saying, all the way up to $400,000 on their house. So just knowing those things, knowing the basics and things first, and then you can contact investors. Generally, the big ones is, I think, notesdirect.com. Once you contact them and just let them know that, hey, want a little bit more information. Some of those bigger investors will then take you, and tell you, hey, this is what you need to do to buy some of these notes. But one thing I will caution you on is some investors want you to be a legal entity. So if you're not a business, they don't want to work with you, and that's just legal protection for everybody that's involved.
Yeah. Hence the reason why you set up that LLC for it and made it
Right.
all official.
Yes. Yeah. So Notes Direct, paperstack.com. Those are like your big ones that you can go and get more information on those, and get lists from them and actually see some of their inventory and go from there. So.
Is there ever any conflict like between the Navy and you doing this? Like, does the Navy know? Does the Navy care? Like, because like technically, you're not supposed to moonlight in the military, because you're always like on call type thing.
Right.
Where does that line get drawn when you're an entrepreneur doing things while in the military?
I would say my commands that I've been a part of so far have been very supportive. And at the same time, I really try to minimize the amount of time that I take away from the military to go and do entrepreneurship stuff. So which is why, I was explaining earlier with the clothing stuff that takes a lot more time, which is with dealing with real estate. It's less time that I would need away from work, or try to request off, or put in leave so I can go and take a trip somewhere to go take care of things. That is definitely helped me out with that. I guess you say that personal / work balance, or entrepreneurship balance is choosing the right business that, first off, that I want to do myself and that I like, and it wasn't something that I just forced myself into. And then also being something that was very passive but active here and there as well at the same time. That way I could do that and minimize it, because I don't want to, like you're saying, balance it out. And I don't want to be that person that where I'm constantly going to supervisors and, hey, can I, I got this going on. I need to go take care of this. Can I do this? And, or I won't be able to go out to sea this time because I got to take care of my houses or whatever, it's not going to happen, so, houses will have to suffer. So, but,
it's like, the more you ask, the more of a problem it's going to become, so as long as it doesn't interfere with your work and, what the duties that they require of you, more than likely it's going to be fine. So.
Yeah. And that's, and for me, like I said, I highly recommend that others look into getting trustworthy people on your team that can help you out, whether it be a spouse or a friend, family member, depending on what kind of business you're pursuing in entrepreneurship. That way that person can fill that role, especially when there's things where decisions have to be made, because that is something I've had to deal with. The last couple of times I went out to sea is, when things go wrong with real estate for me is when I'm out to sea.
Of course.
And right. So the wife is stuck here trying to handle everything, but by having her here, like I said, having someone trustworthy, doing all of the legal paperwork that you need, so she can take action and do things as if I am here. And that way, when I do get in communications with her, she can just tell me like, hey, this happened. It's taken care of. This is how much it costs. And, we're good to go now. So highly recommend that if someone wants to do both, you can do it. I just highly recommend that you have that, that other partner, that person that can help take on duties and responsibilities while you take care of your military duties and responsibilities.
Yeah. Totally agree. Yeah. One of our first incidents as being landlords, I was on orders a couple states over, and like the tenant's like shower started just like actively leaking, pouring through the ceiling downstairs.
Man,
and I'm like, oh no, my wife calls me, she's like freaking out, doesn't know what to do. And I'm like, 3-4 hours away. I'm like, you got to figure it out. I don't know what to tell you. And she ultimately did. So yeah, having somebody there that's able to pick up and clean up those messes is crucial, because they're going to happen at the worst times for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm curious. I feel like everybody's like, kind of pursuing their pursuit, whatever it might be, for different reasons. And so like some people, they got their side hustle so they can, drink more on the weekends. Some people are trying to build that family legacy. Like some people just enjoy the process and learning. So like for you to, spend the time that you're not at sea working on these things, like what's your, I don't know, it's so cliche to say what's your why, but like what's your motive?
Yeah, so I would say one of them is, it's ironic. I was talking to my wife about this, and I shared the story with her not too long ago. But I got off the boat in basically a port. We ported. We were there. We were out just visiting, and we ran into a lady who knew who we were. She was like, "Oh, you guys, military, everything else." She basically goes on explaining she has had a father who retired, a brother who had retired out of the military, and she explained that even at the point that we were in our career, we were very young. I think we were about 4 or 5 years in. She was like, "You need to be thinking about what am I going to do after this now." And we were kind of looking at each other like, "What? We've only been doing this like 4 or 5 years. I'm not sure if I'm going to stay in or not." But looking back on it, like I said, I'm in 11 years now, and it all went by so quick. And it makes sense what she was telling me. Telling us at the time is, this time's going to go by quickly. Even though it may seem like it's going by slow, it's going to go by quickly. Before you know it, you'll do 20 years, and you're at that retirement point. And this is something that I've seen with others is, you get to retirement point and you're not prepared. Either you're prepared or you're not prepared. And I think it's just sometimes we get relaxed because for the last 20 years, you have to worry about things. Some things have been taken care of for you. So you get to 20 years and it's like, oh man, I'm about to retire, and now I got to make that switch. I got to build resumes and things like that to make that transition out. So, because eventually, no matter how long you want to stay in, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30 years, at some point, we're all going to transition out. And I think it just makes sense to prepare yourself as early as possible. So that is part of my why for doing the small business, doing the real estate stuff, is preparing for what I want to do after this is all said and done. I recently got selected to become a limited duty officer back in March. So with that's going to take me out to 22 years, vice 20 years.
Explain briefly what a limited duty officer is.
So limited duty officer is, I got that through a commissioning program. So it's allowing me to go from the enlisted ranks to the officer ranks, also called a Mustang. So now I get to make that transition. I don't have a college degree. I do have some college, but I don't have the degree though. I know a lot of people, what's the right word for it? They feel like the only path to a commissioning is the degree. If I don't have a degree, then I can never become commissioned. That's not true. There are other programs out there and other ways for you to gain a commission without actually getting that bachelor's degree. So that's the route that I took. And now I get to make that transition officially next year. And then I'll get to put on the O1E and become an ensign in the Navy. And I'll still be around the submarine community, so I won't be going away from the submarine community. But my job is definitely going to change drastically from being a technician to now where I'm going to be a technical leader in the submarine ordnance field.
So very fascinating. Congratulations for being selected for that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I know that like the Marine Corps and the Army have the Warrant Officer programs, which is kind of like the way for enlisted to become officers if they don't have their degree. Is limited duty officer kind of like the Navy's version of that, or not really the same? Because I know like warrant officers are supposed to be like specialists in whatever their field is. How's it compared?
We have the same thing.
Oh, you do? Navy has warrants?
Yes. So we have warrants, and then we have our LDOs, our limited duty officer. So of course the warrants will go through their ranks. Yeah. They have like their own their ranks. Whereas by becoming a limited duty officer, I can go all the way from O1E all the way up to O6.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. I figured there was a cap. I didn't know it was going to be as high as O6.
Yes. O6 is now the cap for LDOs.
Unless you finish your degree and then that cap kind of goes away, or not necessarily?
You would have to change. You couldn't be a part of the limited duty officer community anymore, because as long as you're an LDO, the cap is 06.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very cool. So to give someone an idea, if they're like, you know what, I'm enlisted in the Navy, school sucks, like I don't want to go to college, but I want to be an officer. How did you pursue that route?
For me, that was definitely something that was in my mind when I was younger in the military. Was, I would like to become an officer and definitely take on the challenges of being an officer in the military, knowing that it's going to be a lot more people that you're going to be in charge of. You're in charge of a lot more equipment, a lot more responsibility and things on your plate. So for me, I got to talk to others who I saw complete the process. So I saw some of my former NCOs and supervisors who made that transition over, and so I started asking questions about the process. How do I go about doing it and things? And so they pointed me in the direction, and I just started going down the path and got serious about it. It took a lot of talking, because even before the official interviews and things that you do in the board, it's a lot of like pre-interviews type with some of the more experienced and senior personnel in that community, and they basically give their yay or nay before they'll even let you do anything else. So before you do any paperwork, anything else, or decide to put in a package, we want to talk to you face to face, look at your records with you there, and we're going to decide if we think you're good enough to even start the process.
Unreal. Yeah. So don't make any enemies is basically what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. Don't do that.
Wow. Okay. So basically, if somebody wants to pursue this, just get high marks, as far as proficiency in conduct, good PT scores, anything else specifically that?
Do that, and definitely take on those the collateral. So we call them collateral duties in the Navy. So anything you can do, like command fitness leader, doing something like that, being in charge of the fitness for your command, the readiness, taking on things such as maybe command sponsor coordinator, which is actually something I do right now, which is being in charge of making sure that prospective games can make that transition from their current command to the new command, and helping them and their family out with that transition. So taking on those roles and just taking any kind of leadership role, and doing a really good job at it, and just doing it without really being told, and taking it upon yourself. And then also what they like to see is how do you do it and kind of put your spin on it? How do you still meet the requirements? You're still doing what you're supposed to in accordance with the instruction, but then you try to make it a little bit better to benefit the sailor as well. So maybe you streamline some process, or you created some kind of new program or something, and and everyone likes it, and you get the approval of maybe a commanding officer and things like that to continue that, and maybe it's something they want to see other commands start doing.
Cool.
So doing that, and like you said, getting high marks on your evals and remaining consistent from the beginning till you start applying. So they want to see a consistent progression, and making sure that you're striving to become better. If you can get some kind of higher education, that definitely helps. You don't have to get the degree. If you do get it, that is good, and that is something that will look good on yourself. But just getting something, whether even for your job, to support your job too, that's another thing. So any kind of extra training for your rating, and then also higher education if you maybe you're interested in business management, or you want a bachelor's degree in nursing or something. It all helps, but
cool.
That's the biggest thing. You want to stand out from others as someone who has been consistent the entire time, and someone that continues to push themselves.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the same things that'll get you promoted, and as long as you're excelling, taking initiative, like those are going to benefit you and move you forward in whatever direction you choose. You can apply, those high marks, those classes, those initiative scenarios, like towards whatever route you want to take. And so just kind of doing your job and doing it well, for sure.
Right. Yeah, that is it.
So at this point, 11 years, gonna get you that commission. I assume you're gonna just do 20 plus at this point, kind of thing.
Yeah, that is the plan. I will be. So now that I'm making this switch, this transition to the officer side, I have to do a minimum of 10 years to retire as an officer. If not, then it doesn't count. So based on my timeline, that would take me out to about 22 years before I'll retire, or
so when you say
have the option.
When you say it doesn't count, does that mean that you would just retire at the rank you're at now? If you stopped at 20 sharp, you'd retire at your enlisted rank right now?
Right. You'll go back to enlisted. You wouldn't, because you won't be considered an officer in retirement, because you didn't meet that 10-year minimum.
Wow.
So from what I was told, because I was having this conversation a few days ago, and I hope I'm right. I may be wrong, but I think it's the same for all branches, though, that if you make that transition from enlisted to officer, you have to do a minimum of 10 in order to get the retirement as an officer at your officer rank. So for me, I have a minimum of, I'll be able to retire at 22, and then I can still continue to go, of course, based on my rank and, other factors involved. I can continue going to 30 years or whatever's needed at the time. Interesting.
I should look into that as I'm, pursuing a commission. So I haven't been told that yet. So I'm going to look into that 10-year obligation piece. That's good info. Yeah. Not that I don't think it would really change anything, but we'll see. Right on. So at this point, I imagine you have no regrets about joining. It sounds like it's been pretty good to you, and you're excited about the future of your career.
I am. I'm really excited about this. Like I said, I've been doing the technician side of things for the last 11 years. Moving into this role now is going to be definitely something different, but opens up a lot more doors, and I get to see more parts of the Navy. It's not going to be just the community, the small piece of the submarine community that I'm in now. So, like I said, I get to go be in different roles, working different commands, meet other sailors, and just meet different parts of the Navy and stuff, and just support the overall mission in a different way now. So I'm excited about it. Like I was saying, whether 22 years, 30 years. There's so much more that I can be a part of and exposed to, vice what I'm doing now as a technician.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. What's been your favorite opportunity or military program that you found that you've taken advantage of and that you would recommend somebody else take advantage of?
Ooh. Can I have two?
Sure. Yeah, please.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So I would say definitely like I was explaining about the LDO, LDO warrant officer in the Navy. You can still, it gives you the opportunity to become a commissioned officer without that degree. So if you don't have that degree, this is a very good program. The In-Service Procurement Board, it's a great program for you to still get that commission, become an officer, take on a challenging role, and without having to get that degree. And of course, you'll get that. You can still go to school and continue your higher education once you become an officer. You definitely want to continue to grow, but it's not a requirement to actually get selected, though. So that one would be my first one. My second one. So I would say it's still military, but it's more so, I guess you say, we deal with this off duty, which is the VA home loan. The VA home loan is a very powerful. I feel like a lot of us are not educated on what we can and cannot do with the VA home loan. I get so many questions from people that I work with about it, about what you can and cannot do with it, and I explain to them what I know, or I connect them with the experts who can tell them more, the expert lenders. But it's a very, very great tool that I recently found out about maybe a couple of years ago, about a lot of things you could do with it, that it's different from what I initially thought. And that's one thing I highly recommend to everyone is make sure that the advice and the information that you're getting from someone, that you're actually getting it from the expert and you're getting it from the source. Because I was told about that program and I got a lot of bad information and a lot of rumors and things that were not true, which unfortunately can I guess kind of derail some things. It will have you hesitating and you'll definitely, I feel like you would reassess some things and how you do things when you really find out what you can and cannot do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the VA loan for sure. I mean, the house hacking ability that comes with the VA loan is unbelievable.
Yes, yeah, yeah, and it grows from there. What you can do, based off of, like you're saying, just that one house hack and things. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and very, very incredible thing. And I think that's a very great program that they started for veterans, and I love it. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Awesome. I like to wrap it up with a couple of the same questions. First question, which I haven't actually done these questions in a couple episodes now, so I forgot about them. First question is, what's your favorite place that the Navy has sent you?
Favorite place? Well, because of the type of submarine that I'm on, we don't port. I would have to say Washington State. Just being up here and experiencing, like I was saying earlier, I like the outdoors. I don't mind getting out and really experiencing the hiking and the overall scenery that's here. There's mountain ranges, there's lakes, there's rivers. I mean, there's everything. So this is an outdoor person's paradise here. So
awesome.
I love it here. So
cool. 2, would you recommend somebody join the Navy and or do submarines?
Yes, I actually would. Highly recommend it, because especially I feel like it's like I said, you pick up a lot of things that you wouldn't necessarily get out in the civilian world. We get a lot of training and a lot of networking as well from people all over the country, that you can form these relationships and things with that can help you both in the military and outside of the military. So I feel like the overall benefit of the Navy, as well as getting the technical training, using things such as tuition assistance, GI Bill. When you combine all of this stuff together, we have a very great opportunity here. And I feel like when you put it all together, I don't think there's too many places that you can get all of this. So whether you stay in and do 4 years or, you stay in and do 30 years, I think it's good either way to go.
Yeah, totally agree. Awesome. And then lastly, you gave me a snippet of a crazy story at the beginning, but I really want to hear this story. So take it away.
Yeah. Okay. So it's 2011. I'm on my very first submarine ever. When I arrived here, I arrived at a time when my boat that I was assigned to was getting ready to go into a maintenance period. So during that maintenance period, it was going to be a long maintenance period. The decision was made that, hey, being junior, being brand new, here's a way for you to gain some experience and actually become useful when you come back. So I ended up going out with one of the other boats that was leaving pretty soon. So when I went out with them, it was my very first experience actually being underway on a submarine. So I was in a part of the boat at the time. We had submerged, we were underwater. And then I noticed that I was hearing something in my ear that sounded like water. So then that's when the mental, game kind of started like, no, that can't be water. No,
first time being submerged.
Yeah, first time being submerged, and I hear water coming in, and I'm looking at others, and I'm looking around, but nobody's really moving. There was like no urgency, like it wasn't like like what you expected. You expected everyone to just sound the alarm. We have a casualty. We need everybody over here to fix this. Emergency surface. We can't be down here right now. And that right there told me what this line of work was going to be like from there on out. It definitely told me about the people that I was working with. For me, in my mind, when at the time when water's coming in the boat and we're submerged, we're done. Like, this is it. And like, I'm going to the bottom, right?
That's what I would have expected.
Time out. So this is it. And my first time. And, I guess I must be the bad luck charm or something. I don't know. But their response to it wasn't what I expected. But they responded. People responded. The correct people responded. But they responded in a calm manner. No one was panicking. No one was, just very confused. It was just, okay, this is going on over here. This is how we're going to fix it. We're going to take care of the water. And they start putting some things together. They took care of the water and, tightened some stuff. And, no more water coming in the boat. And then everybody went back to doing their job. And even while that was going on, people were still doing their job at the same time. No one was panicking. No one was, just making a bunch of noises and yelling. And
was it like a legitimate leak?
It was. It was with seawater.
Have you ever seen that again?
I have. And that's what really told me about the type of people that I was working with. That submariners were just different people. To see water coming in the boat, well, like I said, nobody's panicking.
Yeah.
Nobody's panicking. I was like the only one, just freaking out, just like, this is it. But like I said, everyone still maintained their composure. They were still driving, doing whatever they had to do, doing their duties and responsibilities. The people that owned the equipment came out, took care of it as if nothing never happened. Everybody was, we acknowledge it. We know it's there. It's coming in. But and it happens from time to time. But like I said, it's like you learn that it's a part of things. You address it. You take care of it. And as long as it's not, just pouring in the boat or something like that, to where, okay, now we have serious problems and, we can't do our jobs. And otherwise, it's just, we're not going to panic. We're not going to lose focus here, because we also got to think about we're on this warship. We still got to maintain control of this warship. And we're out here in the ocean. And even though we're out in the ocean, we have to worry about other things that are in the ocean with us, such as the bottom topography, things like that, because it's not all flat out there. There are underwater mountains, so there's hazards, there's people, surface ships on top. So you gotta remain focused and just allow the responsible division to take care of it. Everyone else continue doing your job though, and that really let me know the type of people that I was working with. And I was like, wow, this is some different type of people, but we get the job done, and we don't let things bother us. We'll get it done. So
yeah, that's awesome. Great story, man. Yeah, I would definitely be freaking out too. So I can't blame you there.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate you sharing your story and giving me some insight on that note investing. That's pretty awesome. So
yeah. And thank you for having me. And feel free, if you have any questions, if anyone has any questions about that, they can contact me through my email. Do you mind if I give that?
Please do.
Yeah, so tspivey46@gmail.com. Again, tspivey46@gmail.com. You can email me whether it's about the commissioning program if you're in the Navy, or whether you want to talk about the mortgage notes. Either way, I'll be more than happy to answer anyone's questions about it.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much. I'll make sure that that email is typed out in the description for anybody who wants to reach out to Tamario. So,
all right. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed this, Jason.
Thanks so much, man. We'll stay in touch. Best of luck to you.
All right. You too.
All right. Hey guys, thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed hearing Tamario's crazy stories and crazy ventures. I can't imagine being on a submarine and having water pour in. That's definitely the reason I would not want to go on submarines. So maybe that's just me, but I'm glad there are people like Tamario making that happen for the rest of us. So if you guys want to get in touch with Tamario, his email will be in the description. Definitely don't hesitate to reach out to him if you have any questions about the limited duty officer route, submarines, Navy, or buying mortgage notes. All right, guys, I'll see you guys next week.